Today I am just very happy. Why? Because I love coffee and I'm going to talk to you about how to start a coffee shop business that generates big bucks from day one. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Suited QA Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee, or tea, or vodka, and let's roll. In today's conversation, I'm going to break down step by step what you need to do to start a profitable coffee shop business that makes money from the get-go. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, opening a successful coffee shop can be a rewarding experience. Think about it, because of you, hundreds of friends will have great conversation, thousands of friends. Because of you, mornings will be brighter, afternoons will be brighter, evenings will seem less stressful. You'll have more impact on society than you realize. But there are a few things you got to do first, and let's have the conversation now. First of all, you got to think about the different coffee business ideas that exist, from coffee roaster to mobile coffee cart, to coffee kiosk or stand, to drive-through coffee shop, to even cat cafe. There are myriad business models when it comes to a coffee shop business. Don't just think about just having a little parlor, people just walk into the shop and just drink their coffee and leave. No, there are different business models. You got to think about things like creating a detailed business plan, finding the best suppliers, sourcing commercial equipment, designing your coffee shop, and giving it what? Character, folks. You need to think about creating a menu to complement your coffee shop, hiring the right people. People are important. You want to have the right talent, marketing your coffee shop, opening it. And the big question is, before we even get into the actual the gist of the matter here, is the coffee industry, is that industry right for you? That's a question, folks. That's a $1 million question you got to ask yourself. Are you interested enough to open a coffee shop business? Do you have enough money to open the business in the first place? Do you have the passion to run a business? Do you love being around people? Are you okay with facing the uncertainty, the unknown? That's quintessential, right? Are you adaptable? Are you ready to change and not cling on to failing, strongly held ideas? One thing that's very important you have to understand here is that you got to be able to multitask, right? As a coffee shop business owner, you got to be able to think simultaneously about things like finances, people, product, equipment, vendor relations, and numbers of the business all at once, simultaneously. Okay, let's get into the actual steps you need to follow to start a coffee shop business that generates big bucks from day one. First, I want you to pay attention to the preliminaries, what I call the preliminaries. So you need to research and find connections to the coffee industry. You need to think about things like vendor relations, managing your numbers, equipment purchasing, business finances, people management, coffee product manufacturing, coffee sourcing, coffee roasting, coffee beverage brewing, and food safety. What I'm trying to say here is you need to educate yourself. Either you connect with people who are in the industry, you read magazines, you participate in workshops, whatever you have to do. The ball is in your court. Whatever you have to do, you gotta take your interest in the coffee business, in the coffee industry, to the next level. All right, you really want to actually have the traits of a coffee entrepreneur. This is very important. You need to leverage your network. Let's say you are actually right now you know people. You have participated to a couple of workshops in town or internationally. You've met people. You need to actually now leverage that network. Those network connections can teach you how to open a business and inform you of the finer details of running a business, specifically a coffee business. They may even become a valuable business partner, or perhaps just a friend who can offer encouragement and advice and who understands what you're going through along the way. Very important, folks. And you also need to know the type of coffee company you want to open. Earlier, I was talking to you about the different types of coffee businesses that exist. The business models are different. There are myriad business models. Okay, here are some questions to get you thinking about what type of coffee company you want to start. Do you want to source or buy and then roast your own coffee? Do you want to work in a customer-facing role with the general public? Or do you want one location, many locations, or a mobile location? Do you want to sell your products online, on store shelves, or in your own location? And so once you have that, you can have a clear idea of the kind of business model you will be interested in, right? Whether it is a coffee shop, a coffee roaster, a coffee franchise operator, because you could be an operator too. You don't have to create things from scratch, really. You can actually just you can start a franchise, really. You can also start a mobile coffee cafe. You can have a wholesale coffee roaster. You can be a coffee importer. You can have a coffee cold brewery. So some entrepreneurs get started small and low tech, like roasting coffee out of a garage, or even making batches of cold brew coffee, heating it up with inexpensive equipment to save up and be able to upgrade later on. So it's all about what kind of life stage or business stage you're in. You also have to think about finding the right location. Very important. It's all about location, 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 right? The biggest set of expenses for a coffee company is its location. So the types of expenses that come up with considering a location include renovation, right? So you have to think about things like architect fees, construction contractors, city inspections and permitting, lease or mortgage payments, insurance, utilities, very important, right? And the prices of this will depend on your local area, the size of the place, the amount of renovation you want to do, and a number of other factors. Remember, if you decide what you want your coffee business to become, you need to actually think about a few more things. Let me give you an example. If you're opening a cafe, your locations could be a stall at a local farmer's market, a stall at a mall or other commercial area, a food truck or cart, right? Space within an existing business, that's possible too. It happens. We've seen that. It could be a leased space in a commercial area, like a retail level of a building or strip mall. And it could be a fully standalone building. So you want to really get the right location for your coffee business. This is very important because the major marketing oriented location factors are what? Think about it. Visibility. That's quintessential, right? You have parking or public transit. You want your shop to be accessible. You don't want people to start thinking about people being stressed just by the thought of reaching your cafe. Nobody wants that. And you want a high traffic location. Okay, so you want to really think about those things, and you want to budget and make the right investment. Make sure you also have the right landlord. Very important. You want to establish that kind of chemistry from the get-go with your landlord. And once you find the right location and a great landlord, what you want to do is you want to lock in your location. Very important. Very important. Okay, and of course, the details of that locking rental agreement could change, but you want to sign a lease for at least 5 years. Very important. Okay, but before you lock the deal down, make sure your financing is committed. Okay, and so once you have that, you need to start renovating. You need to think about things like contractors. You need to think about utility connections, getting things in the building up to code. Very important, right? You also, in terms of location, one thing I really need to say also, you need to find the right neighborhood, right? So downtown business-centric neighborhoods or family-friendly neighborhoods, trendy culinary neighborhoods, or tourist neighborhoods. It really depends on the kind of target audience you are actually targeting. Think about your budget. Consider, very important, your roasting needs. Do you want to have a standalone roastery, a community roastery, or a roastery and cafe? Those are elements that will actually guide your decision making. Okay, and one last thing I want you to pay attention to is you want to design a perfect floor plan. Once you have the location, and but even before you start thinking about the renovation work, I want you to think proactively and think about the perfect floor plan. Work with the architect and the contractors to make sure that you think about things like equipment placement, very important, the counter space, employee workflow. Employees have to flow through the store seamlessly. You got to think about menus and the ordering process and the brand alignments. I want to talk to you now, and this is step number 2. So step number 1, folks, the preliminaries. Understand the preliminaries. Step number 2, you want to develop your coffee shop. Now we're talking. Now we have an interesting conversation. We are getting into the real work here. Develop your coffee shop. You got to think of, you got to research and identify your market. Who is your target market? Who is in the market? What do they want? You need to give them what they want. And this is the only way you can give them what they want is you need to understand who they are, what they're looking for, right? And this is known as your target market. And the way you do this is by having something called a USP. You got to have a unique selling proposition, USP. This is basically what really makes your coffee shop stand out in the market. Very important. And the best way to actually match your target market to your USP is to have an idea of the demographics. So, and you can get demographic data. You can go to your local library by getting a business database of information. You can go to the U.S. Census Bureau. You can look at social media that are focused on your area. You can do, I would say, research yourself and get some first-hand information of what's going on here. Think about the competition. You can also look at the competition to have a clear idea of the kind of business model they have and how customers are responding to their business models. Okay. And one thing you also need to do here is to develop your coffee business's brand identity. What is brand identity? First of all, what's a brand? A brand is a combination of many small united things. So the name, the logo, the brand colors, your brand story. Story is very important. Storytelling is very important in the coffee shop business. The vibe of your business and how you communicate, the type of shop it is, the location, the floor plan, if you roast your own beans, and the menus, right? So those are things you have to think about. And again, if you want to develop your brand identity, you can actually do it yourself if you are the creative type, or you can outsource things. You have platforms such as Fiverr, Upwork, and Freelancer who can do the job for you, or you have freelancers doing the job for you. You can hire freelancers locally, or you can just reach out to friends and family members to see if you have the kind of talent you're looking for in your entourage. All right. So this is kind of a very, very important. You also want to source proper equipment and products. Here, I'm talking to you about developing your coffee shop, and you want to have the right equipment. You don't want to have some kind of shitty equipment, right? So equipment is very important. You also have to source the beans. If you're planning to buy already roasted coffee, you should find out who is roasting coffee in your area and get to know them. Because once you identify one or a few of those roasters, you can reach out to their sales rep and tell them you like their coffee and would like to try and use their coffee in your shop. Okay. And there are also other benefits to having a relationship with roasters. They've been in business longer and have experience with coffee. So they might be able to help recommend things like grinders, coffee brewers, and other equipment, while also potentially servicing the equipment you buy. That's fantastic. So if you like to roast your own beans and source them from other countries, you can go on the internet. There are a few platforms where you get information from. You also have to think about flavors, enhancers, and unique coffee drinks. Think about coffee mixed with food and pastries. Merchandise. Are you going to shop? Are you going to sell your own merchandise? This could be another avenue of generating income if you think about it, right? Because getting branded merchandise for your coffee shop can be a good way to make a little extra money. And so from coffee mugs to hats to t-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee storage, and at home grinders, or even being the reseller of manual brewing methods, the possibilities are endless and can add a more interactive dimension to your brand. You also want to think about developing a marketing strategy. Very important. If you have the best coffee shop in the whole world but nobody knows about it, guess what? Nothing is happening, right? So you want to actually you want to develop a great marketing strategy centered on goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics. Very important. When it comes to goals, the plan start with broad business goals or a directional statement you like to accomplish, what you want to do. And then you have objectives, right? The objectives back up the goal and they should be SMART, what marketing experts call SMART. So you have a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Very important. And then the strategies. Now, the strategies are considered to be the cornerstone of your goals. They tell you what you're going to achieve, how you're going to achieve the objectives, and ultimately the goals your organization has set out to achieve. Okay, and then the tactics. One thing I want you to think about is you want to think about marketing channels. So a marketing channel really is any method, whether it is digital, analog, human powered, robot run, paid or free, that you use to market your business. And it can be your business websites, social media accounts, YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, word of mouth, search engines, yeah, right? Google, Bing, Yahoo search, or you can even have a Yelp page. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Today I am just very happy. Why? Because I love coffee, and I'm going to talk to you about how to start a coffee shop business that generates. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are talking about how to start a coffee shop business that generates big bucks from day one. So I've spoken to you about the preliminaries, the basics, and I've spoken to you about developing your coffee shop. Now I want to talk to you about how to open your coffee shop. Okay, there are a few things you need to do. First, you want to make your business legal. So you want to form your coffee business as an LLC or a sole proprietor, or it's better to have an LLC. Because you have some choices when it comes to the type of business business entity you form, like LLCs, C corporation, S corporation, LLPs. But in the coffee industry, LLCs are common and are recommended by all of the experts that we spoke to. So when you form an LLC, you are getting a straightforward business structure that will protect you and separate your personal and business assets through what's called a corporate veil. Okay, this is very important. In addition, LLCs have a limited amount of paperwork compared to other types of businesses, and their pass-through taxation status makes them very appealing. And setting up an LLC is very easy, and you can do it online with the help of a professional service like Nolo or InkFile or Zen Business. It's very easy. And for most states, forming an LLC follows 5 steps. You name your LLC. You choose a registered agent, you file the articles of your organization, you create an operating agreement, and you get an EIN. This is very important. You also have to think about getting licenses and permits, right? So things like food safety. The licenses and permits needed to operate your business will vary depending on the federal, state, and local requirements. But very important to remember that you have to think about food safety. You have to think about making sure that you pay attention to the hiring and training of employees. Very important, because hiring and training the right employees is one of the most important and beneficial things you will do while building your coffee shop business. Very important. So you have to think about, at some point you might want to think about hiring professionals such as attorneys for legal matters, for example, accountants for financial matters, architects for planning your space, contractors to build out your plans, and realtors to facilitate getting a location. Right, this is kind of important. Now, remember that you also want to have a good hire and working environment. If you set up a culture that's friendly, fun, honest, trustworthy, and you treat your people very well, they're going to want to want to work with you, and they will recommend their friends and family members to come work at your shop, right? So you really should become the place that people want to come and work at. This is very important, all right? And there's one thing you can teach people tasks, but you can't train personality. So by having the right mindset and having the right atmosphere, you will be attracting the right talent to your business. I also want to talk to you about preparing the opening day of your coffee shop. Very important. If you really want to make money from day one, you got to think about everything that goes into opening your coffee shop. This is the big day. Think about it, right? So what should you have prepared before the D-Day? There are likely a million little details for you to still take care of after opening your doors. However, you'll need to at least take care of the following. Your whole personnel package. So make sure everyone who you've hired is as trained up as they can be. Okay. Your product procedures. So make sure everyone knows how to handle and use your products. Very important. You want to be in touch with your vendors to make sure you don't run out of products. You want to test your recipes to make sure they're fully dialed in. Very important, because the last thing you want is to have opening day and people not liking your recipes, right? And make sure you have the right equipment in place, including coffee brewers, coffee grinders, and POS systems, the point of sale systems, and any other necessary things you can think of before you are starting to work with the general public. And once you have everything planned, you want to talk about it. You want to talk about the openings, right? You want to talk about the opening on social media, in traditional media, word of mouth, face to face, whatever it is. You can show people the building process. You can share your brand. You can create buzz, right? You can create momentum, marketing momentum around your business. You can build a community of newly loyal customers by letting and helping them get involved in what you're creating. And you can do this before. And you got to do it before, because that way, by having the right type of momentum, you are actually going to have a very successful launch day. And you can also do what experts call a soft launch. You can do a pre-opening that's soft. In other words, you do a soft launch and a friends and family event. So you kind of test the waters and see what works and what doesn't work. So instead of doing a big opening, do something with a small sample of people. And you also want to do something special for your first customers on that day. Very important. You want to actually be you want to make them feel special. You got to communicate on social media. I don't care if you want to just work with, if you can communicate on traditional media, that's fine. But if you have this access to social media, and you don't even have to advertise, you don't have to spend money for it. I mean, if you have the cash, go ahead and do it. But if you don't, no need to advertise on Facebook, for instance, or YouTube. Just create an account and engage with folks in your area. So when it comes to a coffee shop business, the best social media in our research are Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, I want to talk to you about operating your coffee shop. So I've been speaking to you about the preliminaries. Number 2, developing your coffee shop. Number 3, opening your coffee shop. And now I want to talk to you about operating your coffee shop. Very important. Now, when it comes to operating your coffee shop, there are 5 things you got to think about. The first and most important element here is to take care of yourself. You got to get into the right mindset to run your business. You should focus on being bright, vibrant, and aware of new things in the coffee world, like a new coffee origin country or new processing methods. Educate yourself, right? So running a coffee shop, according to experts, is like running a party where you are the host. So you should consistently make sure that the temperature of the shop is right, the music is right, the atmosphere is comfortable, the ambience is fantastic, the products are displayed just right, and above all, that your guests are what? Happy. Because I'm happy. You want to have that. You got to be personally committed to the coffee shop. Very important, right? Things like making phone calls, sourcing needed materials, including driving an hour to pick up cans, getting water, following up on emails, marketing, self-disturbing, and sales. So those things are very important. So you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your physical and mental health. Drink water, wear comfortable clothing, eat well. because being an entrepreneur is kind of cool, but it has also some constraints, right? So once you take care of yourself, please take care of your staff through training, motivation, company culture, chemistry within the team, compensation agreements, give bonuses. You want to give them free products. You also got to take care of your coffee shop. So take care of yourself, take care of your staff, take care of your coffee shop. Things like the daily schedule. You want to, speaking of daily routines, the workday of an entrepreneur varies quite a bit depending on how mature your coffee shop is in regards to how well trained your staff is. Okay, so there are things that you have to, there are certain routine categories that you have to go through every single day, from trying and setting new sales targets to reading sales reports of your POS system, or trying out new recipes for seasonal or timely drink specials, sandwiches, pastries, and anything you can do to keep your customer base happy. You want to keep them interested, and you want to have them talk about your shop so they continue to come back. This is very important. And also taking care of your coffee shop means thinking about maintenance, right? Because maintenance in a coffee business, if you really think about it, is a constant. If you are a handy problem solver who wants to take full ownership over the types of problems and different roles that need filling, then opening a coffee or any other type of business for that matter is ideal. So think about all the many systems you have to run once you are in a coffee shop, right? Mechanical equipment and utilities, very important. Staff operations, finances, sales, marketing, importing coffee, and more. All of those things need maintenance on a daily basis. This is a daily operation here. Okay, this is a daily operation. So think about that. So you have taken care of yourself, you're taking care of your staff, you're taking care of your coffee shop. It's time now to take care of your customers. They are quintessential. They are the fulcrum upon which your coffee business rests. Without your customers, you're nothing. Your coffee shop is nothing, right? So there are several things you can do to take care of your customers. You can do so through customer service. So be generous, make all your customers feel like regulars. If a drink doesn't come out right, make it again. Hold customer appreciation days, right? Don't be afraid to actually make recommendations for customers. They will love that. Help customers plan their trip in your city. Encourage customers to try something new. Be there for your customers even when the shop is closed. Pick your regulars out of a crowd. Serve customers at their table. Think about it. You want to make them feel special, like queens and kings, right? Give a new customer their first drink on the house and see the ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching coming, the revenue coming. Create a culture of customer service, customer service excellence. You want to fuel a customer's interest in coffee. You want to challenge customers' belief about different coffees by giving free samples, for example. Explain how drinks are made. Educate them. Spend extra time on explaining things. Dive into the whole science of coffee with interested customers. You want to give impromptu roastery tours. Everybody loves improvised stuff, right? Don't just tell, folks. You want to show how different brewing methods change coffee flavor. Teach customers to brew at home. You want to hold educational workshops. Teach customers about the origin of coffee. Include clients in the process of dialing in drinks. Fantastic. What about, so that was for customer service. You can actually take care of your customers in terms of food and drink offerings. Include a little treat with each coffee. You want to provide sparkling water. Sparkling water is very important in a coffee business, in a coffee shop. You want to focus on drink presentation. You want to listen to your customers' recommendations for products. Be consistent, folks. Be consistent with food offerings. Let your clients choose the brew method. Surprise them with specialty drinks and offer flights of coffee. Fantastic. Now you got to take care of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is very important. You can host live study music. You can bring in games and more music. Make your shop family friendly. Use part of your shop as a multi-purpose space. You can create a clear flow of traffic for customers. Challenge the interior often to keep customers intrigued. Make your shop feel like home to regulars. And you also want to offer a wide area of sitting and standing places. One thing I also want you to do is to take care of your shop's image. Very important. Shop's image in the community, So you want to host coffee competitions, host classes and events, support the local and global community, offer public roasting sessions, live out your mission, host passion projects nights, support local arts and music, be there for your customers when they need you, right? And your image, you got to take care of it also on social media, traditional media, through charitable activities, and through local partnerships. Very critical here. So, number 5, growing your coffee shop. So I've spoken to you about the preliminaries, how to develop your coffee shop, how to open your coffee shop, how to operate your coffee shop. Now let's talk about how to grow your coffee shop. And again, it's important to have that in mind because there are things you have to learn from the get-go so you can incorporate those growth ideas and growth models in your startup so that you can grow automatically. You can hack your growth. So you have to understand a few things. You want to define growth for your coffee business. First of all, how do your personal goals tie in? Are you really in it for the growth, or are you just in it just to have fun, just to have a business that you are passionate about because maybe you love coffee, but you're not really in it to grow a business, to transform your coffee shop into a multi-million-dollar business? You got to think about that. All right. So what kind of a temperament you have? But you got to define growth for your coffee business. And growth can be measured in many different ways, including new revenue streams, business efficiency optimizations, new or better equipment, or even execution on brand deals like community involvement or solar energy usage. So no matter how you measure growth, it should be something that is consistent with your business, and most important, that serves to take you further down the road of your vision rather than veering off into something you know nothing about. Okay. And so you also want to learn how to measure and manage growth. So because as your business grows, your balance sheet will grow, meaning that both your sales and bills will grow. Okay. Now, while it sounds great to have increased sales, sometimes you can run into a situation where you run out of money in a matter of months if you're not paying attention to this increased revenue balanced with your bills, right? So this is why you'll need to learn how cash flow works and how to forecast your finances. This is very important. And cash flow really is the amount of total amount of money being moved in and out of a business, and refers to the amount of available liquid cash a business will have at any given time. So this is very important. And you also want to brainstorm growth ideas continually. And you can do this with your staff. You can do this with your founding partners. You can do this with your customers. You can do this with your vendors. Whatever you can glean, you can gather new growth ideas from. Go ahead and do it. Some ideas for business growth projects include a new location, a new coffee product to sell at retailers, installing a bigger roaster to improve roasting efficiency, expanding the distribution of a product to more stores, a new type of merchandise, for example, right? Renovating an existing store to improve barista workflow to sell faster, trying out a new promotion, selling your roasted coffee beans outside of your shop for the first time, committing to sustainable energy, improving the ethics of how you source coffee products, and so much more. It really depends on you. Again, it goes back to the whole idea of business growth and how you define it, how you actually interpret it. So one thing I want you to do, once you have defined growth for your coffee business, you'll learn how to measure and manage growth, how to brainstorm on growth ideas continually. You got to think about properly executing your growth ideas. And when it comes to execute ideas, you need to learn or have the skills or talent, or you need to actually build a team of people with the right skills and talent to pull it off. You got to have enough capital in your cash flow to not run out of money. If you have to think about additional funding if you don't have the money, and you got to think about licenses or permits to do any building or renovation work. Because if you are going to grow, chances are you might actually invite new expenses, including licenses or permits. So you got to think about that. All right. And where to find and test more growth ideas, it really depends. And again, as I told you, you can talk to your customers, to your staffs. You can talk to your vendors, you can even spy on your competitors. For example, you can ask your baristas about patterns they are seeing in customer interactions. You can sit in your cafe, you can actually sit in your coffee shop to see if you can spot things yourself. You can ask customers to sitting on a panel and hold a space for them to talk about your business or even try some drinks you have been developing. You can read also your POS systems sales report, right? Because a smart point of sale system can help you gauge the trend of the market. Because ultimately, you got to have a measurement in mind for the things you want to grow in your business. So depending on your growth opportunity, this could be things like sales, right? The number of shops your product is sold at, the opening of a new location, improved barista workflow efficiency by, for example, 1 minute per drink, spending less time tending to a small coffee roaster by upgrading to a bigger roaster, and improved ratings. One thing you also need to do when it comes to growing your coffee shop from day one is to navigate the competition effectively. I was just speaking to you earlier about spying on competitors. It is legal, it is legit, everybody does it, and you got to have the right tools for it. You should mainly be focused on your business and its reputation, improving or maintaining its quality and unique appeal. What I'm trying to say here is that if you are spying on the competition or you are learning from the competition, the focus should not be on the competition. The focus should be on how you can incorporate those lessons into how you run your own coffee shop. Okay? If you do this while you will still stay on top of the competition, you will be in a comfortable position in the industry. This is very important. All right? You want to differentiate yourself. All right, folks, this is actually it for today's conversation. This was a very interesting conversation. I love coffee and I love the whole coffee shop business. And I was talking to you today about 5 big things. The whole conversation revolved around how to start a coffee shop business that generates big bucks from day one. So I spoke to you about the preliminaries. So you have to research and find the connections, leverage your network, know the type of coffee company you want to open, find the right location, and design the perfect floor plan. You need to develop your coffee shop. You need to actually open your coffee shop. You need to operate your coffee shop properly. And you need to grow your coffee shop. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.